Amida Butsu. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whenever you are, whichever realms of existence you are, whatever mind states you're in, whatever conditions you're in. As always, you are welcome to my channel. I met the Lady Anne's garden again today. Part of it's one of the RHS gardens in Devon, and I'm in there's a section of the Arboretum that is kind of the East Asian section. So I'm standing here among some conifers and evergreens of Japan and China. I thought it'd be a fitting. I always think it's a fitting place to do a video of this part of the garden, the East Asian part of the gardens, and it always tends to make me want to reflect, because there's not that many people at this end of the garden, for some reason. So it's a perfect place to kind of reflect and do a video. So that's why I'm doing this. And what I wanted to reflect on is something I've noticed, been reflecting on in my own journey, my own listening to the Dharma, is that I'm kind of in an interesting kind of place, because on one hand I still have some very core doubts, questions, barriers, issues, but they've become less and less. The power of them has become less and less, and the amount of questions, barriers, and issues and doubts that I have greatly shrunk. Again, bit by bit, incrementally, this has happened over the past, since the mid noughties, the mid 2000s, when I started this journey in Pure Land Buddhism and Jodo Shinshu Buddhism. That was mixed, kind of, off and on, kind of between Pure Land. I've kind of the past several years mostly kind of shifted in my explorations between sort of traditional Pure Land, Chinese, Shantou kind of, approach to Jodo Shinshu, and also then Tendai Nichiren. That's the last, since the mid noughties, I would say, mid 2000s. That's been my journey, but mostly always coming back to Pure Land and Jodo Shinshu Buddhism. And since that time, my doubts, questions, barriers, issues on the path, in the channels, as it were, the barriers in the channel have greatly decreased, as the water just kept flowing, the waters of the Dharma kept flowing, and Amida kept removing those obstacles in the path gradually, very incrementally. They lost their power, and individual questions decreased, and individual doubts decreased, to now where it's really at the core doubts, which I've shared in other videos. I won't get into too much now, but the really core, I've kind of, really, and this is these core doubts are the ones where I would always take me to the wall, and I'd always hit the wall. Several times over the years, I've hit that wall before I knew it really was the wall. As Inagaki, the way that, as Inagaki Sensei characterized it. But even those core doubts have incrementally, gradually decreased over the years, and my ability to entrust to the teaching, practice, and realization of the Jodo Shinshu Buddhist way has gradually, incrementally increased. over all these years. And I'm now to a point where it's a very interesting thing, where I entrust enough that I feel kind of protected in a sense, from a lot of things because of by Amita's working, by Amida Buddha's working, the working of Amida Buddha, by Amida, by the process, and I feel a sense of that it is actually happening, even though I have these great doubts, these core doubts. I shouldn't call them great, just call them these core doubts that haven't seemed to. It's the last bit that needs to go. It's the last bit of the channels of faith that need clearing by Amida, but they're very stubborn bits. And but as I say, they have decreased a lot. The power of them has decreased a lot, and also my ability to be honest, forthright, and ruthless about the path in terms of just talking about those in dialogue, in Dharma dialogue, those questions, doubts, barriers, and issues, has increased as well, incrementally, gradually, to the point where I am now, where I'm very honest with you through my channel, with my Dharma brothers, with Kyokan in my my main Dharma dialogues with him. I'm very honest about the barriers I have, and I'm not worried about what somebody's going to think. I pay no attention to the disparagement of others, or whatever, however that's said by Shinran. Paying no mind to the derision of others, in my path, in my pursuit, in my Dharma dialogue. I'm being honest about it and true to it. And it's, like I said, it's this thing where I have these really, they're strong doubts, they're core doubts. I should say that, like I said, though, with the caveat that they have decreased quite a bit over the years, but they're still there, very strong, stubborn doubts. But yet at the same time, I am entrusting to the path more than I ever have in my entire life, and in my entire being on this path in this provisional lifetime, where I feel protected. So in the white path, where Amita's beckoning us, don't be afraid of the water, or the waters or the fires. Just walk the path in front of me. The perils of that, I'm not. I feel like I'm in Amita's embrace. Amita's protecting me from that, and I just need to walk the path now. That just follow the path that's already there, and it's almost like I'm just naturally following the path. I don't feel at all like a sense of, oh, I've got to make sure I walk the path perfectly. I got to make sure I have every say exactly and ask exactly the right things, and which I used to do. I used to be like, oh, I have to get it exactly right. I don't have any of that now. It's just like, okay, this is the path. This is the path, and I'm just following it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're walking along, you naturally follow the path. You just do. It's just that, when you're on a hike, you naturally just follow the path. You don't have to think about it. There's the path, and you just follow it. And that's kind of how I feel like. And so I feel like, in a sense, that's, there is a lot more entrusting than ever on my Jodo Shinshu path. I don't have a fear of the perils of either side, or making sure I walk that perfect white path. I'm just walking it. It's there, and I'm just following the path. Just natural, like a natural hiker walking along. The path is there. I don't really need a map even. I just, even though I do have a map, of the Jodo Shinshu teachings, the Jodo Shinshu Buddhist teachings, and the Jodo Shinshu Buddhist masters, the Dharma masters. I do have a map to follow, but that too is kind of natural. It's not like, oh, okay, I have to get out my orientation equipment. And in the past, I felt like that. I felt very much like I had to get it all right and make sure I was navigating in the right direction, and was, had the right teachings, and was doing exactly the right things. Now it's just happening. It's just happening. In spite of me, it almost seems like it's happening. I'm just naturally following the map, following the path, and entrusting that. So I'm not worried about the fire and the water on the other side, or the narrowness of the path, because that, I just feel like Amita has me in that sense, and and so in that sense, I am protected, but I don't feel like, but yet there's still the core doubt. So I'm in this place where I have these core doubts, and yet I'm entrusting an awful lot. I'm entrusting quite, and again, the entrusting isn't something I've engendered in myself or come up with, or I've tried in the past to do that very unsuccessfully, and with very abysmal results when I've tried to kind of force it, to just make myself believe, to make myself, have faith and believe, and, and all that, not believe, but, it's not, with my own calculating, my own calculations, my own figuring it out, my own, I just have to follow the teaching. I just have to, and I've tried that and failed abysmally every time to approach it that way. And now it's just happening. That's the only way I can say it. It's just happening in spite of me. I did make a decision, several years back now, but I'd say, at least about 5 years ago, I really made a decision. About several years ago, I made a decision that, okay, I need to get, really serious, or made a decision that, I really need to, Jodo Shinshu Buddhism is the path for me. I can't see any other Buddhist path, any other Buddhist school being able to understand it and fully and properly practice it. And so I just, and then, I started to see that. And then maybe a couple of years after that, then I started to, the year of 2019 to 2020, the stuff that happened then, kind of there was a kind of sense of urgency, the natural sense of urgency that kind of came from that. So I got a bit more serious at that point, about it, but I still wasn't quite, I still was very much, holding back, not willing, not really facing, not truly facing my doubts. I'd kind of given up on trying to face my doubts and questions, fears, and decided, okay, I'm just gonna ignore them and just do the path, kind of thing, something along that line. And we all know how that worked out. This is my doing. I'm not blaming it on anyone else. I'm not blaming on any Sangha or any people. This is on me. My own calculations led me to all of that. And then I left, that Sangha that I was with for about a year or two, something like that, year and a half, in 2022. And it was at that point, I did make a decision that this is it. Jodo Shinshu is the path I will be on until the day I die, kind of thing. But then that just gave way to really, and also was doing doing the path still in a very, what's the word? I'm going to do everything I'm supposed to do this time, and I did, but I got to a point where I didn't care whether it was, there was a point actually even before this where I didn't care whether it was self-power or other power. It seems like that doesn't matter. This is something I've talked about in my videos and with my Dharma brothers and with Kyokan, that there's, I got to a point several years ago where I said, it doesn't matter, just do it. And I had thoughts like that even before that point. That gradually came in, that just do it anyway. Do the whether Nimbutsu, you're doing the Nimbutsu in a self-power way or another power way, or trying to listen deeply or have Dharma dialogue in a self-power way, or doing any of the things that we're meant to do in Jodo Shinshu Buddhism in a self-power way. It doesn't matter, just do it. And gradually it became more and more a natural thing. Not through my own working, not through my own efforts, but through the process of Amida's working. It just became more of a natural thing to do these things. There was a point where I made a decision, but even that decision now I see as the working of Amida, as the upaya of Amida, just in the gradual flowing of the dharmas, of the waters of the Dharma, as I more and more was immersed in it. The more I walked that path, the more I was immersed in it, and it just that just naturally happened. Anyway. So there was a point where I made a decision, but I made that stalwart decision. But now it's just I don't need to have that sense of, I just know I'm going to be a Jodo Shinshu. I just am Jodo Shinshu Buddhist till the day I die. It's just a fact. It's not something I have to try to, I've made this decision and I must follow it, not let anything get in the way, It's just a natural fact now of my life. It's just a natural fact of my life that I'm going to be a Jodo Shinshu, that I die, and that I'm just going to be on this path. So it's not it's not something where I have to make a decision. That decision. I do still, decide I'm going to, read the teachings and engage in Dharma dialogue and reflect on the Dharma, but that. It's not really even a decision. It's just time to do it. So I just do it, it's not like I purposely, okay, I'm going to reflect on the Dharma now. It just, in the course of my day, something will happen and and that makes me reflect on the Dharma. It just kind of happens, and now I have such Dharma relationships now, that it's just a natural, normal part of my day to be engaging in Dharma dialogue with people. Through online, through Messenger, through we have a weekly phone call that we do. We have weekly, not phone call, but Zoom meeting that I have with two of my Dharma brothers, and I have the weekly meetings with Kyokan, semi-weekly meetings with Kyokan. But that it's more of a response now to the path I'm on. It's sort of like, again, like I'm going to come back to the hiking. When you're on a hike, you don't, you get to a point where you're like, oh, I need to sit down for a second. I've been, walking long enough. You just naturally know, okay, I need to take a break, or you naturally know I need to take some water, drink some water, or I need a bit of food, or I need to readjust my knapsack, or something. That sort of thing. It might not need sure about there's two different directions you could go. You come to a point where there's different paths that branch off from your hiking path, and so you might need to look at the map just to kind of confirm, oh yeah, this is the one I want to be on, but you naturally do that. It's not like you have to think about it. You just naturally do those things, and that's kind of now what my Jodo Shinshu path is. It used to be like that. Definitely didn't used to be like that, but it definitely is now. And I'm very very grateful for that. But this is what I'm trying to talk about today, is this kind of, on one hand, I'm entrusting. This is a lot, and I can see it happening, and I can see that the difference in my life and the difference in the way I'm even approaching or on the path. But yet, at the same time, I still have these core doubts. It's a very paradoxical place, kind of, if you see what I mean, that somehow I know there's these doubts, these core doubts, questions, barriers, issues, whatever you want to call them, with the path, on the path, but somehow I just know that's going to be cleared by Amida eventually. I guess part of that is the experience I've had so far. What I'm just telling you about is I can see the gradual working of it. I can see the gradualness, the incremental, natural flow of it in my life, since the mid 2000s, and so that gives you confidence, so you realize you're actually on the path, kind of. You kind of realize, through Amida's light, through Amida showing you, that you realize you are sort of naturally on the path and naturally trusting to it now. That line in the preface of Kyoto Shinshu was a very important thing to me. This was many years ago when I first spotted that. This was about 5 years ago, maybe, something like that. 5 years ago, maybe, I spotted that. No, maybe it was less than that, actually. It might have been less than that, 3-4 years ago, something like that. I spotted the line that says, it says something along the lines of entrusting myself to the teaching, practice, and realization of the Pure Land Way, or something along that line. Can't remember the exact line now, but I kind of was able to relax and say, okay, I don't have to trust I can entrust to the path. I don't have to, just completely entrust to Amida. I can trust my whole, just let go and entrust my whole karmic destiny. Trust your whole, just entrust completely to other power, completely. When, I have a difficult time with trust, with very good reasons, from the experiences I've had in Mappo so far, and the delusionment and disillusionment and various things, and major betrayals, and trust is not, it's not something I can come to easily. So you get to that point where it's like, so you come into the Jodo Shinshu and you have voices that say, oh, you just entrust, just completely entrust. And I was like, no, I can't do that. I can't just completely entrust. It's just, if I could do that, I wouldn't be a bamboo, would I? I would, if I could do that, I could, anyway. Just ignore your doubts. Don't worry about your doubts. Don't worry about it. Just entrust. I can't do that. And I couldn't do that. I still can't do that. And, but to first entrust to the path, I can entrust to the path. And now I can, it's a gradual thing. It's not, but anyway, that's what I want to reflect on. Is this paradoxical thing where I've got all this kind of entrusting that I'm doing, but yet still have doubts, still have questions. So it's this, I don't know what you would call it, in between kind of thing. But even that doesn't feel uncomfortable. It's just kind of strange. Maybe it's strange that it's not uncomfortable anymore. It's not an uncomfortable thing. It just seems like it's a natural part of what has to kind of happen with it, kind of thing. So, yeah. So I think that sort of covers what I wanted. This reflection's gone on as long as it had to. Thanks for listening. And thank you, Amida, Buddha. And thank you all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And thank you all the Dharma masters of Jodo Shinshu and all the Dharma masters of Buddhism for all time and all universes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Bu. Namanda Bu. Namanda. Namanda. All right. Take care.